Season 42, War number 2, and we are up against DSVG. This time my team will be Valkyrie, Absorbing Man, and Future Ant-Man. Future Ant-Man is a tactic attacker, a very powerful one at that, and I just recently took him to rank 5, so that is why I have him on the team this time around. I'm taking Path 1 in Section 1, as well as that Nick Fury on the Hazard Shift fight. Then I'm taking Path 9 in Section 2 again, as well as that Hulkling on the Shed fight. And finally, for the boss island, I will be taking all the right side mini-bosses, as well as that Domino boss. Now, just to be clear, I will not be taking the Domino boss with Future Ant-Man. I wasn't sure if the ability accuracy reduction would be a problem for him, so I went with the option that I know does work, or at least can work, and I will be doing that with Absorbing Man. Up first we have a Killmonger on the Masochism Overtime node, and I'm taking this fight with Absorbing Man. Game plan here is very simple. I start in the Uru form for the physical resistance, because Killmonger's reverberation damage is all physical. And that means that Absorbing Man will take close to no damage from it for as long as you stay in the Uru form. I will also be doing the heavy chain into my special one whenever I can, to get the extra critical rating on it, to kind of fight against Killmonger's critical resistance, and it does make the fight a lot faster. Now, for some reason I landed a parry a few times by accident. I wasn't planning on doing that, and I didn't want to do it because it triggered Masochism, but for some reason I did. Once again here, no reason why, or no idea why, but I did it anyways. Not really an issue, makes the fight a little bit longer, but that's fine. There is no risk of death here. He goes down in less than a minute. Absorbing Man is very good for fights like this. Next up we have a Nick Fury on the Hazard Shift Incinerate and Shock node, and I'm taking this fight with Absorbing Man, starting in the Magma form. I also have Odin's Protection, as well as the Shock Resistance pre-fight here. Neither of them are needed for this fight, but I wanted them on just as a safety net. The Protection helps if I get hit by accident, and the Shock Resistance allows me to still stay in the fight if I happen to lose my Magma form by giving me the shock resistance, so it allows me to play time and get back to my special 2 if needed. Now I start this fight off in a very fantastic way by eating a full combo. Luckily this Nick Fury did not finish on a light attack, or I could have bled to death right then and there, or at least very close to it. So, a scary start, but that should be fine. All I need to do is just get to my special 2, throw it to refine my form, and then just keep doing that over and over again. Watch out for Nick Fury's unblockable specials, and that's about it. Now, that being said, I have taken this fight before. It is very simple with Absorbing Man, but the one scary thing about this is that in Magma form, Absorbing Man is not tanky at all against Nick Fury. Now that's gonna show here right now. I try to go and hit his block there when he becomes passive after entering his second life, but he dropped his block, hit me first for a full combo, and I tried dashing in after that to get my form paused again, but he had a special 2 ready, he intercepted me with it, and I'm dead. There was no reason for me to dash at him, it was simply a mistake on my part. There is no reason to be mad at that or complain about it. I simply made a mistake and I died for it, which is usually what happens in high tier wars. A single mistake can and will lead to your death, no matter what the situation might be. The fight itself is very easy. I should not have died there, but these things happen and I can't really say too much about it. I made a mistake, it happens, I'll just try to do my best to not do that again for the rest of the season. Now I just revived and healed up and went back in after confirming with my other officer here if I should do that, since I do know that the fight is very easy and my death wasn't because of any interactions or anything like that, just me making a simple mistake. So I healed up, went back in to clear this fight so I can clear up the rest of my BG for the night. And this fight ends flawlessly. No issues here whatsoever. This is how the fight should have gone in the first place, but that is death number 1 for me. I will try to keep it there. I really don't want a second death per season, so we'll see how this goes from now on. Next up we have a Jessica Jones on the Hazard Shift Shock and Bleed node with one eye open, and I'm taking this fight with Valkyrie. And this is actually the only Valkyrie fight I have this war, and well, it's for good reason. Jessica Jones is an extremely annoying defender, especially on a node like this where you need a counter for the node itself too, because there aren't that many options who actually work here for Jessica Jones. So since I do have a rank 5 Valkyrie now, and I needed to deal with the Havok that's coming after this one as well, we figured that it would be best for me to just bring a counter for this specific fight, and that being Valkyrie. The game plan here is very simple, like we saw in the previous war. I'm only gonna be hitting into her block, and that's about it. That's all I need to do, and she will go down unless she becomes very aggressive, doesn't want to hold her block, doesn't want to dash back, and I get cornered. If that happens, there are a lot of issues that can and will make the fight extremely difficult to get out of alive, but so far she's playing ball. I'm building up my bulwarks now with the non-contact combo inversion, which is a lifesaver for nodes like this where you cannot hit the opponent directly. So looking at her health pool now, I think that I'm not even gonna get to my special 2 to finish this fight off. She's gonna die from the block hits and the instant bleeds themselves. But even then, this fight has already taken a minute and a half, so yeah, Valkyrie is not a fast attacker for fights like this, but she is extremely safe and very powerful as well. I did make one mistake and hit her directly once, got a bleed debuff on me and took a tiny bit of damage, but that's not a problem at all. Next up we have a Havok on the Hazard Shift Shock and Bleed node, and I'm taking this fight with Future Ant-Man. And the idea here is that despite having no immunities at all, his sig ability reduces the duration of bleed by 90% at max sig. So I should be able to hit Havok just fine during the bleed phase without having to worry about the Hazard Shift node too much. Now there is one problem here that I didn't remember, and that is the fact that if the opponent has deep wounds, the duration increase from deep wounds gets added after the 90% reduction to the bleed's base duration. So the bleeds do last longer than they would if the opponent didn't have deep wounds. And while that doesn't really make the fight an instant death, it does mean that I will be taking more damage than I thought I would, and it did make the fight a little bit scarier going in. Now, the game plan here after that is to just get to my special 2s, throw them while the power detonation is active on the opponent, so that they take that huge burst of damage from the disintegrations, and that should do it just fine. Havok here is a defender tactic defender, so he is gaining a lot of power while having prowesses, but again, Future Ant-Man being a tactic attacker, he will power drain, or rather power burn Havok on every single hit for as long as he has his armor ups, and he always has them. So, a very good counter for Havok in general, especially with these nodes. And while the Hazard Shift node isn't exactly countered properly and by Future Ant-Man, he does still work, and he finished the fight with around 70% health left. Then we have a Hulkling on the Make a Stand and One Eye Open node here, and I'm taking it with Hulkling. And I already made a pretty big mistake, and I didn't start the fight in the Uru form. I was supposed to, I forgot that I wasn't in it, and I just went in, and now this fight is a bit slower than it should be. I just got to my special one, threw it straight away to get the Uru form, to get my physical resistance in case I would get clipped by him, and now at this point the fight is under control. My plan is to just hit Hulkling, throw special one, hit him some more, throw more special ones, and that is the whole fight. Mystic Dispersion is gonna be topping me up with power gain all the time, so I basically always have a special one ready after each combo. All I need to do is that make sure I don't get pushed past the special one, and everything is fine. I won't be bothering going for the heavy chain into a special here. The crit rating would be nice, but it's not needed with the amount of specials I throw in. Hulkling is dropping down very, very quickly. And Absorbing Man here is still at 99%. Fight is over in just over a minute. Once again, if I started in the right form, it would have been a lot faster. But still, that's not a slow fight by any means. I could have also done it with Valkyrie, but I figured that Absorbing Man would be a greater counter for it, because he just destroys most cosmics in a very fast time as well. Talking about fast times, next up we have an infamous Iron Man on the Safeguard miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Absorbing Man starting in the Uru form. Now there are two main problems with this fight. Number one is that in Uru form I don't have energy resistance to deal with Iron Doom's energy based special attacks, so if they do hit me, they will probably hurt quite a bit. But the bigger issue is that Absorbing Man here has no way to deal with the regeneration that Iron Doom gets when he drops to, I believe, 15%. Basically, if I don't nuke him down quickly enough while he's low and he triggers his regen, he will heal up back to full for sure. So if that happens, I basically have to kill this guy twice in the span of 5 minutes. Now, with a 5-minute timer, it's not a problem, even with the Safeguard node. All the burst damage that Absorbing Man deals will bypass the Safeguard node without problems at all. So these big special ones and basic attacks as well, the burst damage just goes right through it, making a pretty quick work of his health bar. That being said, I'm also apparently very bad at dexing his specials. I ate the very first special one he threw, I ate another one here. I will probably eat some more, I can't remember exactly, but at least they don't hurt that bad. One thing that I have going for me here is the immunity to shock. So Iron Doom can't hit criticals. Whenever he would hit a crit, he deals shock damage instead, kinda like Guardian would. So at least I have that covered in the Uru form. Now that he triggers the regeneration there, I got accidentally pushed to my special 2 due to me having MD5 active, and that meant that I had to go for a special 3 here instead, which wastes a lot of time, but it refines the Uru form and gives me that big cruelty as well as a ton of critical rating. So now this Iron Doom's health pool should just get nuked down very quickly with basic attacks and special ones. And as we can see here, 14-15k crits, or rather burst on the crit hits on my basic attacks alone, and this guy is just melting. And that being said, the fight has taken almost 2.5 minutes by now, which is not fast at all. I would rather use someone like Tigra here to not have to worry about the regeneration, but as we can see, Absorbing Man does work here very well as well. But yeah, you really need something, or you want something to deal with the regen, otherwise, yeah, that's a lot of health you have to take down. Then we have a Sauron on the Polka Dot Power and Stunning Reflection miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Future Ant-Man. I start the fight with an advanced power boost, so I have a bar of power going in, so I can throw my special one, get a disintegration debuff on the opponent, which counts as a damaging debuff, giving me constant power gain from the polka dot power node. Now you don't need to do the fight this way, you don't have to use the boost if you don't want to, or if you don't have any. You can simply take this guy down with basic attacks only, and it should still be pretty simple. But since the special 2 on this guy is huge, I figured that since I can get there, I should get there to speed things up quite a bit. Now, while Future Ant-Man here has 6 or more of his nano armor ups, he makes the opponent very aggressive, and that allows me to constantly bait those heavy attacks for my openings. As you can see, this Sauron is very happy with those heavies, and that's all because of Future Ant-Man's abilities. And that's a wonderful ability. Whenever you have something that you can use to control the AI, I'm all over that. It's fantastic. Controlling the AI is so useful in basically every situation and every fight. And Future Ant-Man just destroyed that fight. I would also like to note that Sauron didn't get to use a single special there either, because Future Ant-Man's power control is also amazing. Next up here we have a Zemo on the Brute Force mini-boss node, and I'm taking the fight with Future Ant-Man. The game plan is pretty simple. I'm just gonna get to my special 2, throw it while the power detonation is active for the big damage, and then repeat. I will not be inflicting any of my disintegration debuffs, because I don't want Zemo to cleanse anything, so that I run no risk of getting rooted here. That would be the biggest risk here, apart from maybe eating special 2s to the face, but even if that would happen, Future Ant-Man here has a neat little damage cap mechanic, so he would survive without any issues. Now that being said, this Zemo is pretty annoying to deal with, because the playstyle with Future Ant-Man usually requires you to block bait some heavy attacks, and since this guy can crit through the block, it does hurt quite a bit. So if this wasn't my final fight, I would have to heal up, which is always annoying because it's expensive, but Future Ant-Man is very safe against Zemo on most nodes, simply for the fact that you have a lot of damage, you deal with Defender tactic, and you just don't inflict debuffs if you don't want to. On top of the AI control as well. Fight went down without any issues, didn't get my special 2s ramped up at all with disintegration debuffs, and they were still hitting very hard, and I'm really liking Future Ant-Man for War. Then we have the final fight of this war, a rank 5 Domino boss that I'm gonna be taking with Absorbing Man, starting in the Magma form. And this fight is very scary, especially on the boss node, with the Opportunist node increasing her attack by 50% for each buff she has. And with the boss node, she will be gaining those resistance buffs constantly. So the game plan here is to use the Magma form to basically ignore all of the crit fail damage, since it is energy based, and then just use the shallow evade on her double medium, punish it with light attacks to pause my form, and then just get the special 2s, throw them, try to nuke this fight down as quickly as possible before anything bad can happen. Sounds simple enough, but it really isn't, because Domino's ability accuracy reduction can prevent Absorbing Man's light attack from pausing the forms, and if she keeps failing the pause, the form will fall off and I will have no protection against the crit fail, I have no protection against anything, I will lose all of my damage, and it's not a fun time. So I just need to make sure I keep doing the shallow evades properly, keep landing those light attacks to get the pause up, and just hope that at least some of them land, and that I can get my special 2 quickly enough to refine the form before it falls off. So far it's going pretty good, but the form is getting pretty close to falling off. I have to just go for it, drop my special 2 into her block and hope that the unblockable doesn't fail due to ability accuracy reduction, because that too can fail. So yeah, I'm pretty much sweating bullets in this fight. Only reason I'm taking it is because Nimrod and Omega Sentinel both were banned, and we didn't really have a better option. We had a rank 5 Warlock that could have worked, but I have taken Dominos with Absorbing Man many times. I soloed the Act 8.2 boss with him a few times. I've taken this fight in BGs many times, so I'm comfortable with it, and I'm not that scared of taking it. But sometimes things that are out of your control, like the pause failing, if that keeps happening over and over again, it might very well lead to a death, which is why I probably shouldn't have assigned myself this fight. But yeah, it worked out this time. Now, that being said, I was very nervous about this fight for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's Domino. Number 2, I died to that Nick Fury earlier, which was just embarrassing. So I wasn't feeling my best this war after that. That being said, the fight went well. Domino wasn't too annoying. She was failing a bunch of my pauses, but she wasn't evading too much. She wasn't being passive, so I didn't lose my forms at any moment. But yeah, I probably should not do that fight again. As for the results, we did end up winning the war 10-3. It went a lot better than our first war, but we can still do better, and yeah, I was the only death in my BG, which feels bad, but it was bound to happen at some point, so at least that is out of the way now.